All right, I make a motion, we call this meeting of the Public Service Committee to order.
Second.
All in favor? The ayes have it. First of all, my name is James Leahy. I'm the chair of this committee. To my right, we have Lebron-Martinez. To my left, I have Howard Graney. We did get messages from two other committee members. Daniel Bresnan cannot make it tonight, and Josie Valentine is work schedule. She said she'll try to get here around 7-ish. So having said that, I would like to make a motion that we take off the first item off the agenda, the city council to interview Maureen Cronin. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Maureen? Ryan, our administrative assistant, has advised me that the cameras, because people are home or watching, are faced on this chair here. And so if you can just go to the chair to your left. And you come with a wealth of information and an excellent resume. The purpose of tonight, quite frankly, is just so we, the city councilors, can get to know you, meet you, say hello, for you to ask us any questions. And so having said that, why don't you just give us a brief synopsis of your background and why you want this position. There's a green button, I'm sorry. There's a thing that says push.
I've been in the assessor's office in South Hadley for the last 14 years. 2 years prior to that, I was in the collector's office.
I'm sorry?
Or, excuse me, the clerk's office.
Okay.
I've taken course 101, which you need to be an assessor. I've taken multiple other courses and am continuing my education through the town of South Hadley.
Okay, and you do live, it says here you live on Phillip Drive?
Yep, right up by the college.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that was my first apartment right there. Old Nev's house.
Building.
What's that?
George Nev's
Yep,
parents' house.
parents' house, yep.
Yep, I live right at the end.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Joseph, Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Councilor. Maureen, welcome, and
Thank
certainly
you.
your credentials speak for themselves. I'm sure Tony and Debbie talked to you about, the state is on us to get the third position.
Yes.
And to make sure that we have either a one-member or three-member board. I'm not sure why, but, the state gets what the state wants. Understanding all that, how do you see your role? You certainly understand what assessors' duties are, but a lot of what the commission would do is decide on abatements. How would you see your role play out in lieu of the type of abatements that we have to handle in the city of Holyoke, and your role with the two assessors who will be working full-time?
I think because I know the process, I know how it works. Right now, I'd like to give back to the community that I've lived in for 52 years.
Often, few of us call South Hadley Ward 8, so in South Hadley is just an extension.
Yep.
Not everybody believes that, but, there are similarities, especially when it comes to our residential neighborhoods. Yeah. So you would see yourself as fitting in, understanding what.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? So first of all, thank you for wanting to give back. Thank you. And you said you lived in Holyoke for 52 years. That's okay. That's great. Oftentimes, and not so much now, but recently, I should say recently, years ago, I used to always, how should I phrase this? Every time somebody seemed to get an abatement, it seemed to always go 2-0 against that abatement in the assessor's office.
Can you repeat that?
If somebody was going for an abatement for their home,
Yep.
in their house, for instance, like when Deer Run first came
Okay.
out in West Holyoke, a lot of these houses were similar to the houses in LeBury Lane and whatnot, and they're getting charged a lot more taxes. And so I know that a bunch of people had filed abatements, and I had nothing to do with it, but just listening to the conversation going on, it seemed like all those votes went 2-0 against abatements and that sort of thing. So I guess from here, just asking you to keep an open mind. Just listen to both sides of the argument when they're going for abatements and do what you think is best.
Absolutely.
Having said that, I think this is a qualified individual. I make a motion that we should confirm her.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So what's going to happen here is at our next full city council meeting, we'll bring your name up, give a brief report. The full city council, I'm sure, will vote on it. Then, having said that, if they do, I'm sure they will, then the following day, you can go down to our city clerk and get sworn in.
Okay.
And then you're good to go.
All right.
We appreciate your time. Thank you so
Thank
very
you for
much. Do
taking the
you have any
time.
questions?
Is there a stipend?
Why not?
Or not?
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm not sure on that.
okay.
We did discuss that, but I forget what the final vote was.
That's something
Not that
to
it
be
matters.
determined,
Okay,
so I can't answer that.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But
Thank you
if
for
you
taking the
keep your
time.
eye on Debbie and Tony, I'm
Okay.
sure we can argue for it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So the next item on our agenda is item that we're just going to leave on the, it's Mimi Panage couldn't show up tonight. She got notified late yesterday, and she had something else going on, so we're just going to keep that on the
Move to take
table.
number 3 off the table?
Second?
Second that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right.
Rich.
So this is City Council review, Mr. Richard Quinville, appointment to the Local Council on Aging Board. Sir, would you mind coming up and pretty much what you just saw? Just give us a background, why you want to be on this board.
How you doing, Vince?
Well, there's been an opening at the council board for quite a while since Judy Bolzon had passed away. And they're looking for another male to be on the board. And I'm pretty active at the senior center. I'm there 3 times a week. We can vouch for that. And
Definitely.
I do the bingo on Wednesdays. I do bingo on Friday. And I also use the fitness center 3 times a week down there. And the board right now is looking for another male with some input. And a couple of members of the board have asked me if I would be interested in doing it, and I definitely said yes.
Anybody have any questions?
Other than the fact I see Rich all the time at the senior center, and he's a stalwart supporter of the senior center.
Okay. Councilor McGivern?
I don't have a question, but I would like to declare that Mr. Quenville is my neighbor. I think these days that's important that we have to declare those things, Councilor Leahy. I'm not too sure.
Oh, and Lucky is.
But I've also, well, it's about 1/8 of a mile away, neighbor. But I've also known his sons for a long time, and I can't think of a more wonderful appointment to the commission itself than Mr. Quenville. And I know he's is not just good character and integrity, but he has a big heart for the city and a big heart for what the Council on Aging stands about. And I welcome you aboard and hope nothing but the best.
Like to move to confirm, Mr. Quinville?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, sir. Thank you very much. As I said to the nice other lady, so we're going to bring this in front of the full city council, assuming they're all going to vote for you. Then the following day, you can go get sworn in by our lovely city clerk.
Okay, fine.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Then you'll be, then the council on aging will reach out to you and give you minutes and an agenda and that sort of thing. You have any questions for us, sir?
No, thank you.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, so that was,
Move, take 4 off the table?
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Do we have Miss Deborah Alassi?
Eloisi?
Aloisi. Aloisi. I like saying that, Aloisi.
Hi.
Just have a seat, similar to the people of the previous. And so this is for the Commission on Disabilities.
That is correct.
Let me just jot this down. Ryan, you're taking notes as well? Good man that he is. All right, here you are. All right, so just like the people prior to you, if you would like, just give a quick background, why you want to get involved, that sort of thing. You can ask us any questions. Any counselor wants to ask you a question. So shoot.
Well, I've been a homeowner in Holyoke
make sure- is that-
since 2007, February 2007. I've been working in health and human services for the last 8 years or more. This is an issue that's near and dear to my heart. I have a family member who is a paraplegic and a lawyer, and I keep thinking about, what would be accessible for her. and I'm feeling very passionate about implementing best practices. I just went to a regional meeting today, which was a lot of fun. I got a lot of good information, so I'm looking forward to sharing that with my other commission members.
Can you give me any examples of that?
Yes, there's some great information about evacuation planning for people who have disabilities, and there are some new things that are coming up. And also, there's some funds available, if we can get our ducks in a row, for adding accessibility to buildings, public buildings, and I know that's been a problem with the city annex buildings, so that's something that's pretty exciting, and I'd like to see us get our ducks in a row and at least be eligible for that.
Quickly.
Right. Councilor
Yeah,
Green?
that's very interesting if you say that, Ms. Aloisi, because I have an order filed in the city council now to do an assessment of the evacuation plan of 57 Suffolk Street, where the school department offices are located, so it's good to have somebody that's experienced in that area. What do you think about this building, the access to the front?
The front, not so much. The side, definitely. I think that there are always room for improvements in the building. The funding may not be there. So looking realistically at finding funding sources before we implement changes is probably a good idea. I know that Holyoke overall is looking into that, and for a lot
See,
of
one
its
of the problems
structures.
that we have, that if the elevator in the back deck is not in operation, now you no longer have handicap accessibility to the city hall,
Right.
which would violate the open meeting law, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we need to do something. But anyways, that's just off the cuff.
Understood, and I agree. When I walk through the buildings and think about the elevators in here, I'm thinking, would my cousin be comfortable in her electric wheelchair using this? And it looks a little bit shabby, so I agree with you 100%.
Councilor McGivern?
Deborah, well said. Certainly your reasons of why you want to join the commission, and certainly understandable with with your background and with your cousin. As tough as this building is, there's two handicap accessible entrances. The side actually is with a ramp that leads to the door. But the more tougher one is the annex next door, where you literally have to, if you ever saw it, you have to go in, go down to the basement to get on the elevator. And this elevator is brand new compared to that elevator.
I agree, and I saw it. I went in through the basement, and it would take a real act of courage, especially if you were feeling vulnerable.
I don't even like walking it down there, never mind doing it with an electric wheelchair. Deborah, one thing that the commission does is it's a small thing in the scheme of things, but it helps us out, and that's what our handicap parking request. Many of our neighborhoods, and in probably all of our residential neighborhoods, parking on the street can be very tight, especially during winter months when there's parking bans that are in place. People qualify for, I'm sure you know this, for the handicap placard in terms of parking in a handicapped place. Although we cannot designate a spot for any individual on public ways, we can put up a handicap parking spot that allows the person to park there. But we found in the past, sometimes people want the parking spot in front of their house, even though they actually have off-street parking that's available to them and is what they actually use. So the commission has helped us evaluate the request as we go along, so as not to abuse that request, that placard, and at the same time to make sure that they do have good accessibility to their homes. Are you aware of that, and is that something you can help us out with?
I have just become aware of some of the placard situations. I know that overall in the state, there are a lot of placards that are given out to a lot of people. Some placards are over-given out through in some areas throughout the state. What they saw was that there was fraud, people using other people's placards, which is actually a $500 fine, because you're taking on the identity of somebody else and using that. So there are abuses that happen throughout the state. So making sure that people that do need them, need the placards, would be a high priority.
Okay. And helping them out with the parking is our big role. You know, the state oversees that. The city has one fine for illegally parking in a handicap space. You know, someone without a placard, which is $300. Is that a good figure? Too much? Too little?
I think it's a good figure. If you think about, if you think about the fact that we're not raising revenue by raising necessarily taxes, we're raising revenue by people who are taking the spot for somebody who actually needs it. And it is a fair amount.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions? At this time, I'd like to make a motion to confirm this appointment. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And so after tonight, so you go, we're going to have a full city council meeting, and then after that full city council meeting, because I'm sure everyone's going to vote for you, I assume, and then the following day, you can go to the city clerk and get sworn in.
Thank you.
No problem. Do you have any questions for us?
I will probably think of them later.
Feel free to reach out to any city councilor if you have any questions on anything, anytime.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Have a wonderful night, and thank you for coming down and volunteering.
Move to take number 5 off the table?
Sure, Alex.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's have it. Okay, let's take off the table. City Council review, an order for Jean Gonker, appointment as associate member of the Historic Commission. I didn't think it was called associate member. I thought it was called alternate member. Okay. All right, so it's
You want a little bit about me?
all right.
Taught in the Holyoke Public Schools from 1973 to about 1997. While I was teaching, I received 2 Horace Mann grants to start the Holyoke High School Hall of Fame. I mention that to show my interest in the history of Holyoke and its peoples. I then received a 2-year sabbatical from the Massachusetts Department of Education at that time. Now it's Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. After my 2-year sabbatical, I stayed on in various capacities, and towards the end, as I reached my retirement, I was Western Mass Area Supervisor and Professional Development Coordinator for staff and for special education directors across the state.
That was the Western Mass Director,
Area Supervisor,
Area Supervisor.
yeah, for Program Quality Assurance, the compliance.
For disabilities, did you say? Special education?
Civil rights, special education, all the areas. ELE, Chapter 74. We would
Trying to
cover
take
all of
notes.
them. Yep.
Okay, and this is a very important,
And then I retired. I had a year where I couldn't do anything because of the conflict of interest law.
okay.
So at that time, as I was home, I started coming to the Historical Commission meetings. So
Okay.
I have been a regular attendee, and he's over there shaking, yes, because he's seen me,
Oh, good, okay.
since my retirement.
Since
And-
97?
No, I retired, I went to Merrimack College after that.
Okay.
After I retired, then I went to Merrimack College. Oh, I worked at the Department of Ed till 2012, I'm sorry, 2012, and then I had the year off for the conflict of interest. And then I started at Merrimack College for a part-time job, if you got to keep moving as you retire.
Sure.
And also during the Historical Commission. And then I'm also a founding member of the Holyoke Preservation Trust, which is a 501c3.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Green.
Yeah, quickly, I
Okay.
just want to make a blanket statement. I worked with Ms. Yonker for many years at Holyoke High School. Outstanding educator, outstanding teacher, very knowledgeable in the city, so I have no problem with this appointment at all.
Councilor McGivern?
Gene, welcome, and thank
Hi
you
there.
for, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
One of the things on the Historic Commission, I'm now knowing that you go to meetings, I'm sure you're aware of, is, and I actually co-sponsored it, but certainly give credit to Olivia and others for the writing of our demolition delay ordinance.
We were just
And
talking about that,
It's
yeah.
a very important ordinance when used correctly, and for the most part, it is used correctly. We have some beautiful historical buildings that are worth, sometimes we need some time, worth being saved. They need a plan, sometimes it's more than just ownership, and certainly the city cannot save every historical building in terms of renovation, in terms of refurbishing, or even sometimes mothballing it, but we try. What are your thoughts about demolition delay? What are your thoughts about demolition in general of historical buildings?
Well, it's a complicated issue, because this is a very historic town. And in my position at the Department of Ed, I've been in just about every school district in this state, so I've been in a lot of towns. the Lowells, the Lawrences, and I've seen similar communities. I think the commission currently is taking a look at its bylaws and the demo delay to work on the language. But in terms of preservation, you can't, as you said, you can't save every single building. But I think as a city, we need to have a list of landmark buildings that exemplify the spirit of Holyoke. The Victory Theater, I can think of as one. Everybody garners around the Victory Theater. Everybody rallied around the Carousel. Everybody rallies around City Hall because we've been working. Oh, I'm also a member of the Friends of the Stained Glass Window, City Hall, trying to, to preserve the stained glass window. So you have decisions to make, and I think one of the first things is to take a really good hard look at what are those important, significant buildings that are landmark, that exemplify the essence of the city of Holyoke. And I think then you take a look at them and then you put them on a specific list. Right now you keep hearing everybody also talking about the Richardson train station as historically significant in that depot area. So, but are there buildings that you can't save? Absolutely. You also have to work on your definition of what a significant building is, a historically significant building. Mm-hmm. And then you have to consistently apply that definition across.
Well said. You're making me think about a few things, too.
Well,
I think you have a good handle on it.
as I said, it's a complicated issue. My heart, cried when, we lost a couple of buildings, but they're gone. You have to move on and you learn from them.
I know a few of us are still crying because the old bud came down, but
Absolutely. I've been in the basement looking for that passageway.
I'll bring it down. If I had the keys, I'd bring it down tonight, but I've seen it. It's bricked up on our side.
Yeah.
But it's not the stone of City Hall, it's modern-day brick.
Right.
And
But that's another part of preservation, too. In this building downstairs in the basement, you have so many documents that also need preservation, and we've been chatting with Brenna about that. She took a course, too, I believe, in that. So, yeah, it's complicated,
Well, thank
but
you.
very important.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
answer.
Counselor Graney?
Yeah, just not to piggyback on what you said, Ms. Yonkers, but some of us are rallying around the saving of Lynch School from the wrecking ball. So we have 6 empty lots in Holyoke or playgrounds now that were once historical school buildings. And I just wanted to throw that out for the public to see.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I make a motion to confirm this appointment. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. So just like I've been telling everybody else, for our full city council meeting, I don't see any problems. I would encourage you to go down, I think we're gonna all vote for you, then go down and get sworn in by, by our city clerk. Mm-hmm. And you can continue going to the meetings you're already going to. But I do appreciate you
We were
volunteering.
just there last night. So, okay. Peter's doing well. Oh, we're on public. Peter Kinney's doing well. Those of you who had him as a teacher, he's doing very
It's
well.
my speech and debate teacher.
Was I your English teacher? I believe I was.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, he scared me, so I only remember the people that scared me.
I will tell him that.
Yeah, I believe at one time he had a wolf. Is that right? For a dog, it looked like a wolf.
Wolfie. Yeah,
Wolfie.
Wolfie on the basement side.
Yes.
Yeah, he used to be.
Wow. Yeah, he taught me quite a lot in debate and what. Obviously, it worked. All right. Well, thank you very much, and please tell him I said hello.
I will.
All right. Moving along nicely. Councilor Graney wants to make a
6
motion.
off the table?
Okay, so 6, we got an email from him earlier this evening. Mr. Fitzgerald had another prior engagement in West Springfield, so he would like to ask this to be tabled.
Stay on the
Second?
table?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Move 7 off the table?
all right, second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Mr. Richard, help me with the last name? Alstrom. Mr. Alstrom, please come and have a seat.
Aye, how are you?
Hello, how are you? Good. So just like everybody else that came prior to you, just give us a background, why exactly you want to be on this commission, what you can give, and that sort of thing. We'll ask any questions. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Okay. Yeah, hi, my name's Rich Alstrom. I've lived in Holyoke for the last 13 years. I've been working in and around Holyoke for the last 30. And the Historical Commission is one place I thought I might be able to be of help.
You work in Holyoke, is that what you said?
I am a business owner. I own a small general contracting
Okay.
company. I'm a licensed contractor. I've been in the building trades for the last 35 years, mostly residential, but quite a bit of commercial over the years. So my interest in the building commission is, having an affinity for the city and the buildings that are in the city and the structures, both the residential houses and the buildings downtown here and throughout the other parts of the city. So I'm hoping I can use, my background and expertise to help the commission identify buildings that are important to save and track and get a proper updated list of. And then when issues come up, I've attended the last 3 meetings. I think I was at the meeting the other night as well. But issues around the demolition delay seems to be one that the city Historical Commission is working on, clarifying the bylaws and how to approach it. So that seems like an interesting problem that comes up from time to time. So I'm excited to be able to help with that process and come up with a more streamlined approach, for dealing with demo issues when they come up.
All right, anybody have any questions? Councilor McGivern?
Chris did answer I think, well, you heard the earlier question, which I think, Richard, he did did touch base on it. In your line of work, do you renovate more houses, or do you build houses or buildings?
These days I do mostly renovations. My company for quite a while was based more with repairs. We had a fairly large company that did more professional handyman services, but my work has been general remodeling, over the years. Yeah.
Because if we had the resources, we'd like to save every historical building we could within the city.
Yeah.
Not going to happen, not in our time anyways.
Sure.
Do you have any insight or any knowledge of, oftentimes the demolition of a building is a private sector, a private owner, for a reason that could be good or bad,
Yeah.
but pretty much the city cannot stop it indefinitely. Do you have any knowledge or any ideas of resources, revenue, grants that are out there that could help save buildings, if they're renovated with a plan?
I don't know of anything specific, but I do know that what I've found interesting is there's conversations within the commission in the last few meetings about having a more creative approach to help builders and developers find ways of holding on to these properties that should be held on to. And it seems to me that what I understand about the demolition delay is actually a tool just to come to a better outcome if a building is moving towards demolition. So I think there are probably some more creative ways of approaching. Certainly if the commission's clear up front with the process, there may be a way of helping somebody who wants to take down a building come up with a better solution, because they do spend quite a bit of money to pull down a building.
Yes.
So there may be, if that money is used ahead of time to come up to a better outcome. I think that's, from my understanding, that's what a good use of the demolition delay is, to achieve a better outcome for us, the city, and a developer.
To give time for everybody to rethink, and if a solution is there, hopefully that solution becomes not just profitable, but palatable for the owner of the building, that they can do something. I wouldn't be against mothballing, but we've done a lot of mothballing over the last 20 years, and it rarely works. It's 20 years later, the building that on Jackson caved into Maple Street. We had, with the help of the National Guard, we had mothballed that building when it was in good shape. But once the roof goes, everything goes. And pretty much if there's no heat and, it's not being used, it's good for a short period of time, but not long. Well, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir on that one. But again, appreciate you for coming forward, and thank you for sharing things with us.
Sure.
Councilor Graney?
Yeah, just quickly, Are you familiar with any of the recycling outlets and so on and so forth for any building we have to take down vis-à-vis bricks and different materials from these buildings that we could possibly sell to defray the cost of demolition?
Again, nothing specific other than the Center for Ecological, what is it, Technology? It's the Eco Building Bargains in Springfield. I'm sure there are some, resources for that, but no, and more specifically, no, I don't. Yeah.
Move to confirm?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. So, sir, I don't think you should have any problems at our next city council meeting. It's just like I've told everybody else. After the city council votes on it, the following day, you can go down and get sworn in by our city clerk. Then you can continue going to your meetings.
Okay.
And on behalf of the city council, I want to thank you for your involvement and wanting to get involved.
Great.
Do you have any- I keep forgetting, do you have any questions on us?
No, I don't.
If you do down the road, feel free to give any city councilor a call.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much for
Yeah.
your time tonight.
Okay, thanks
Good
so much.
luck. Thank you for your
All
time.
right, I make a motion to take item number 8 off the table. Mr. Christopher Gauthier,
I don't think he's here.
is he here? No, he's not here. I make a motion to table number 8.
Table? Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to do Mr. Quenville again?
You want to come back up?
No, I'm just kidding.
He got him nervous. He was like, oh boy.
That treadmill's gonna be overworked tomorrow, Rich, huh?
Red Sox, you're right.
That's right.
All right, so having said that, I like your,
After last night with the performance that Price did, and they still got beat. so-
I know, isn't that amazing? All right, so I make a motion to adjourn, non-debatable. Thank you very much for everyone for your time tonight.
Thanks for, thank you for being able to come, because we would have been in trouble. Yeah, sure.